Chapter 5. Attacking the Warm List Warhead. Overcome your reluctance to offer a quality lifestyle to family and friends. The first 6 months in the career of a new distributor are critical. Much like the first 6 years in the life of a child, the first months in network marketing are formative times. And it is during these impressionable months that patterns of success must be firmly established in each new distributor's mind. Very few people will survive the first year if their first few weeks are misspent, and we believe our industry's high attrition rate can be traced back to seeds of failure sown in these very early stages. Apply what we teach you in this chapter, and you're far more likely to find yourself among the first-year survivors and thrivers rather than a part of that attrition statistic. Fundamental to the establishment of a network marketing business is the creation of what we call the warm list. In fact, it's so critical to success that we've allocated this entire chapter to define, explain, and teach you step by step how to utilize your most powerful resource. A warm list is a group of individuals from your past and present whom you know well enough that were you to pick up the telephone and call them, they would recognize you once they heard your name. The value of a warm list is that for the first few months, new distributors are able to speak with people they know, and, more importantly, those with whom they would love to forge a lifetime business relationship. Indeed, one motive for our recent partnership with other experts in the think tank consulting firm 21st Century Global Trust is to educate network marketers how to prosper in the coming century by focusing on relationship marketing rather than merely sifting through huge numbers of prospects. We are currently working on a simple, easily duplicated system which will allow many more distributors to capitalize on their own warm market relationships, as opposed to the past process of just throwing mud on the wall and hoping some sticks. Furthermore, it matters little to this group of family and friends that distributors are new or that their presentations are mediocre. By beginning with this inner circle, what we call warm contacts, new distributors will be prepared to enter the more judgmental world of cold marketing, attempting to recruit professionals whom they've never met, should they have to do so. That's when approaching large numbers of prospects becomes crucial. Your warm list is what sets you apart from everyone else in the business. It is your edge for success. Without it, your approach to this business is not terribly different from standing on a street corner selling newspapers. Creating a large warm list. The larger your warm list, the more solidly you will establish your business. By age 30, social psychologists have noted the average person literally knows 2,000 people on a first-name basis. One of the first steps for new distributors is to begin making a 2,000-person list of people they know personally. We can hear the gasps and sighs already. Why do we recommend such a large warm list? If distributors are asked to create a 200-person list, they will average 60 or 70 names and feel proud. If they are urged to target 10 times this many, they will generally come with hundreds of names and apologize for being short of the goal. Once you are well on your way with your list, select your top 25 people, those with whom you would most enjoy being in business. Since we believe so strongly that the warm list is the key to starting every network marketer on the right track, we are going to devote some time to it. We want you to know what objections you will hear and how to overcome them, as well as how to create and use your warm list as a tool for building your business. Everyone has a warm list, but most don't know how to identify and record the names. 2,000 is a shocking number, but even more shocking is our inability to recall a mere 10% of those acquaintances without a specific triggering device. A triggering device is any list of people, places, occupations, directories, or things that allow us to recall people from our past. At the time we first became involved with network marketing, we each had a very extensive warm list, and have since recruited others whose lists far exceeded ours. We used telephone directories, old high school yearbooks, and books of vocations to help us create lists of several hundred people. The next section consists of a memory jogger to help you develop your own warm list. Memory jogger to help make your warm list. Who do you know whom you respect, shows genuine concern for other people, is active in their church, people always seem to like, does personal counseling, such as church leaders, doctors, lawyers, etc., is a professional, is in clubs and various group organizations or active in civic affairs, is in a teaching position in a school or business, deals with the public, such as police officers, firefighters, mail carriers, city officials, is in a management, supervisory, consultant, or trainer capacity, is looking for more out of life, is ambitious, assertive, and on the go, is considered a leader, attracts leaders, has children just starting junior high, high school, or college, has children with special talents that should be developed, wants to set a good example for their children to follow, owns a business, holds a very responsible position that is causing stress and pressure, wants to have freedom, is considering a new profession, changing jobs, or has recently changed jobs, is unable to advance in her job, has talents but is held back, just started selling or is an experienced direct salesperson, relies on ideas for his livelihood, authors, designers, promoters, advertisers, has never been able to get started or failed in business but still has strong desires, is going to college, business school, trade school, etc., or just graduated, was recently married and is just starting out, knows everyone in town, has international connections, exudes credibility, is elected to office, works with you now, you see at the gym, is looking for a job, you play tennis with, you know from the old neighborhood, appraised your home, already has a great job, takes care of your car, is on your Christmas card list, you take your cleaning to, is your accountant, you do civic work with, does your hair, runs the spa, you see at the copy shop, delivers your mail, seems to change jobs often, did your home repairs, is concerned about her skin and hair, is concerned about his weight, is into sports fitness, wants more time with the family. Who are our relatives? Parents, grandparents, sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles, cousins, children, step relations. Who is our mail carrier, newspaper deliverer, parents' newspaper deliverer, dentist, physician, minister, florist, lawyer, insurance agent, accountant, congressional representative, pharmacist, veterinarian, optometrist? Who sold us our house, car or tires, television or stereo, fishing license, hunting license, suit, tie, shoes, business cards, wedding rings, eyeglasses or contacts, vacuum cleaner, boat, camper, motorcycle, bicycle, living room furniture, air conditioner, kitchen appliances, lawnmower, luggage, Avon products, Tupperware, carpet. Do you know someone who lives next door or across the street? Is my spouse's barber or hairdresser? Teaches our children at school. Was best man, usher, maid of honor, bridesmaid. Was the photographer who took our wedding pictures. Is the purchasing agent where I work. Is the finance director at school. Goes hunting or fishing with me. Was my Army or Navy buddy. Is the architect who drew up house plans. Goes bowling with me or us. Is president of the PTA. Was my spouse's college fraternity brother or sister. We met camping. Is the credit manager of the store where I shop. Is my spouse's old high school teacher or principal. repaired my television, upholstered my couch. We knew on our old jobs. Went with us to the races. Is in my carpool. Installed our telephone. Has a laundromat. Teaches ceramics. Owns a taxi service. Cuts the grass, or my parents' grass. Painted the house. Owns the pet shop where I bought our dog. Installed our refrigerator. Renewed my driver's license. Owns an apartment. Is in Rotary, Lions, Kiwanis with me. Is JC president. Plays bridge with me or us. Is in garden club. Is in book club. Is my child's kindergarten teacher. Is a deacon in my church. Owns a slipcover and drapery business. Manages an athletic club. Gave me a speeding or parking ticket. Does our income tax. Cleans our clothes. Hung our wallpaper. Taught our children driver's education this summer. Works with the rescue squad. Owns beach or mountain cottage where we vacationed. Sells us gasoline and services our car. Sold my wife her wig. Owns a nursery. Delivers parcels. Works with an exterminator or pest company. Stores my wife's winter coat. Sells ice cream in the neighborhood. Owns and manages the jewelry store downtown. Sells aluminum awnings. Works for the travel agency. Who do you know who is a professional nurse, golf pro, student, fashion model, security guard, sheriff, fire chief, secretary, welder, crane operator, candy salesperson, police detective, music teacher, art instructor, typesetter, forester, seamstress, carpenter, pilot or steward, mobile home salesperson, bank cashier or teller, tailor, garage mechanic, editor, lab technician, restaurateur, PBX operator, social worker, lifeguard, race car driver, paper mill worker, brick mason, draftsperson, printer, office manager, bakery owner, plant supervisor, dietitian, mechanic, anesthetist, surgeon, librarian, mortician, missionary, real estate agent, railroad ticket agent, newspaper press operator, bulldozer operator, bus driver, airline ticket agent, computer programmer, motor home dealer, business machines salesperson, soft drink distributor, air traffic controller, interior decorator, swimming teacher, typewriter salesperson, grocery store owner, insurance adjuster, warehouse manager, moving van operator, rent-a-car representative, professional baseball player, professional basketball player, professional football player, television anchor or producer, tool and die maker, cookware salesperson, dance instructor, sawmill operator, industrial engineer, research technician, telephone line person, lithographer, fisherman, bench machinist, waiter or waitress, furniture dealer, notary public, farmer, actor or actress, land clearer, horse trader, statistician, cement finisher, antique dealer, brewery salesperson, engineer, contractor, chiropractor, podiatrist, auctioneer, electrician, dental hygienist, shoe repairman, physical therapist, motel owner or manager, highway patrol officer, judge. Take the time and use the resources to develop your list. All new distributors should sit down in a quiet room with several triggering devices and attempt to create a warm list of 2,000 people. It should take 2 or 3 days to get a good start, and by the end of the first month, you should be well on your way to hitting the target. You will never regret starting your business with this tool. Network marketing, by its very nature, requires you to talk to large numbers of people. The longer your warm list, the better your chances for success. The warm list warhead strikes. Generally, the warm list warhead strikes after you have given this assignment to your new associates. This is when arguments between sponsors and new distributors first begin. Sometimes objections aren't even verbalized because your new associates would often rather keep them to themselves. Most new network marketers are able to come up with a dozen good reasons why they don't know 2,000 prospects, and why they can't possibly go after friends and family first. We've heard all the arguments over the years, and none of them are valid. It is vital to the success of your newest distributors that they not ignore this warm market phase of the business. Let's review a few of the rationalizations and excuses used by new distributors, so that you know how to respond to them in this first stage of recruiting. And remember, not all new associates will be honest with their sponsors and declare that they have no intention of working with their warm market list. There are many reasons people are inclined to hold back from calling on their families and friends, and it is this resistance we are referring to when we talk about watching out for the warm list warhead. When it strikes, it can be a killer of many would-be great distributors. First warhead: lack of conviction. Network marketing is the process of sharing one's belief in a marketing concept that is so unique and about which you are so enthusiastic that you can't hold it inside. You lose sleep at night. You can hardly wait to tell people of your discovery. When this level of conviction is lacking, people tend to hold back. It's a catch-22. If you wait for the belief level to come, you run the risk of missing the opportunity. If you try to go forward without it, your friends can hear the reservation in your voice. So first, do your best to try to work through whatever reservation is holding you back. It just sounds too good to be true. Maybe it has worked for others, but I can't be sure that it will work for me. What if I'm wrong and I mislead my friends? Discuss these concerns with someone in your upline whom you trust. Whatever you do, don't make the mistake of waiting to share your discovery with friends. A common excuse is, "I don't want to call my friends until after I'm making the money." Of course, the solution is to rely on the support of your upline leaders, those who have a track record of success in the business. It is that team approach that makes network marketing so effective. What happened to Mimi Joy Swenson of Los Gatos, California, can happen to you if you use this excuse. Mimi Joy explains, "I was building my business part-time my first year, and had made my list of 2,000 names. I felt like I just had to create sections on my list, and one of those categories was called my chicken list. These were names of people whom I felt were already successful in their present jobs, and with whom I had better wait to speak until I was more educated, making more money, and working this business full-time. I was attending a company function in San Francisco, and as I walked into the gathering, I experienced a scary vision. I saw the person who was number 1 on my chicken list. I calmly walked over, thinking to myself that he was probably just there as a guest of someone. 'Hello, funny meeting you here. By the way, why are you here?' I asked him, puzzled. He proclaimed, 'I have just recently been introduced to this great opportunity and have made the decision to build the business and replace my income.' I proceeded to turn a deep shade of green-yellow and gulped, saying, 'Well, isn't that just wonderful? I know you will be very successful.' I wished him luck, and like a sad, hurt little puppy, I moped to the back of the room to find a seat. I got myself situated, but was feeling quite sick. As the meeting began, I noticed the woman principal at our daughter's school, and she wasn't even on my list. The moral of this story for me is to never, ever prejudge people for this business, because they could end up sitting right in the same room with you at your next meeting." Having learned the importance of working with those on her warm list, and not letting anything hold her back from calling them, Mimi Joy has now made it more than halfway to the top of her compensation plan, loving the work and lifestyle of a network marketer. Until your belief level is 1,000%, You might try this script when you approach those on your warm list. I've just gotten involved in a new business that has me so intrigued, I just had to tell you. There are people making more money in a month than most make in a year. And what got my attention was the lifestyle. They are all working out of their homes and at their own pace and creating an ongoing residual income that is staggering to me. I don't know if this is for real, but I can't stop thinking about it. When I saw the caliber of people coming into it, I thought of you and your husband, right away. I can't think of two people I'd rather be in business with. Besides, you two know everyone in this community, and they all respect you so much. I really think I'm onto something. But I'd like you both to look at it and tell me if I'm crazy. A few close friends are coming over Wednesday night, and I would love to have you both join me so I can show you exactly how this works. Or would Thursday during the day be better for you? I really value your opinion. Until you have replaced your income in this business, it is understandable that you may have some reservations. But don't try to solve the problem by avoiding your warm list. Approaching strangers is much more difficult than reaching out to your family, friends, and acquaintances. Find the words that are comfortable for you, but whatever you do, begin calling those on your warm list. You want to be in business with those people you most enjoy, because your network organization is for life. So approach your favorite 25 people first. If you let your doubts stand in the way of beginning your business, you are guaranteed to fail. If you can find a way to go forward with honesty, you may succeed. Believe us when we say, with success comes conviction. Second warhead, lack of self-esteem. Many people avoid their warm market because of their poor self-image. It's a delicate issue, and one that must be approached with sensitivity. Some people do not feel that their friends and relatives respect them. In fact, many people believe that the friends they approach will laugh at them and ridicule them for attempting to be an entrepreneur. Let's look at a classic scenario. Bob is a bus driver who loves to play poker on the weekends, and he belongs to 3 different groups of men who also love to play cards. As Bob makes out his warm list, he writes down the names of 12 men whom he knows well from the poker clubs. The only problem is that Bob is lowest on the socio-economic totem pole. The other men are white-collar professionals, and while they respect Bob's skill as a poker player, Bob just naturally assumes that they wouldn't consider listening to him about a business deal. But Bob is totally wrong. Unless you address this issue in general terms during training, Bob will not approach those men. Here's what we suggest you say, because there will always be someone similar to Bob in your group. Folks, the biggest challenge you're going to face just as soon as you succeed in this business will be the anger of people to whom you never even showed this opportunity. You may have a group of friends, even physicians and attorneys, whom you're afraid to approach. But they won't be your friends anymore when they find out that you got involved with a business that's now paying you $30,000 a month, while they're still going into an office 60 hours every week. Why would they be upset with you? Because you didn't think enough of them to show them this business. If they do resist even attending your presentation, tell them right up front that it's their choice whether they get involved or not. But you wanted to make absolutely sure that they won't turn on you in a year because you didn't give them a chance to see this opportunity as soon as you knew about it. Notice the strategy here. We keep it a soft approach and refer to professions like law or medicine. Most everyone who isn't a lawyer or doctor looks up to those professionals. And in our business, it's really not uncommon for a student or maid to sponsor an accountant or a CEO of a corporation. On a scale of 1 to 10, if you think of yourself as a 5, once you sponsor a 10 into this business, you become a 10. Move past your comfort zone and offer everyone on your list this opportunity. The truth is this: we are all 10s in potential. We just need to seriously buckle down and recruit as many frontline distributors as we can. Don't let this warm list warhead hold you back. Third warhead, fear of losing credibility. As more professionals enter the network distribution industry, it is natural that they will want to postpone acknowledging their participation until the time is right. For example, some will pretend that it's their wives' business. The problem is that if you're a professional and people sense your doubts or uncertainty about the industry, they will also be suspicious. Some will choose not to join, and others will join but build through someone else, such as their spouse. But the reality is that once someone of stature has joined our industry, the floodgates start opening for everyone. And more often than not, it's the ordinary, everyday people who make it to the pinnacle, not the big hitters of traditional business, law, or medicine, though they certainly can earn enormous wealth while pushing their sponsors into the stratosphere. We can relate countless stories of people who have failed at this business because they were afraid to let their peers know how very serious they were about building a networking organization. One story goes back to 1990, when Rene sponsored a couple, Susan and Richard, from the San Francisco Bay Area. She was a corporate executive on maternity leave, highly motivated because she wanted to stay home with her baby and not return to the office. Susan was a competent, organized self-starter. Richard was a high-level salesman for a food manufacturer who admitted that he was no longer excited by his job, even though he was well established with a Fortune 500 company that was strong in the global marketplace. Richard was concerned about how his reputation among his corporate peers might suffer by joining network marketing. He could not afford to have his boss learn of his involvement, which he felt might result in him losing his job before their network marketing business actually began generating a good income. Richard played it safe by providing his wife with leads from among carefully selected business associates and trusted acquaintances. He had the utmost faith in his wife's ability to do this business and to professionally handle his best prospects. The problem was that his associates knew him and trusted his judgment and insights about a business opportunity, and they didn't really know his wife. She spent months calling up his leads and doing presentations for them. He was even present at some of her business meetings. But because of his fear of losing his professional credibility, he never openly admitted that he believed in the business hook, line, and sinker. He never let prospects know that at some point in the future he was planning to give this his full-time effort. He continued to portray the image that this was entirely her business and that he avidly supported her in it. After a year, she had sponsored a few of her girlfriends, a couple of guys she knew from work, and a few of the wives of her husband's business associates. But their business never really took off as they had expected. Susan and Richard ultimately slipped from business building into merely product wholesale buying, and she eventually went back to work. Both of them were disillusioned about network marketing. Rene was developing a close personal relationship with both of them, and knew that if any two people could succeed in this industry, they were Susan and Richard. They had the connections, the motivation, the innate ability, and the respect of their friends and associates. Susan obviously felt that if she could not make her MLM business work, none of her family and friends could either. But it was the fear of losing his job and professional reputation that held Richard back from participating in the business with Susan. The fear of something that may never have happened destroyed the possibility of their success. The lesson here is that whoever knows the warm list prospect best should make the call. Prospecting the other way certainly put Susan into a funk because she didn't understand what had happened. She just assumed that she wasn't a self-starter. She, who had been one of the top women earners in corporate America, had failed in her own networking business. She was depressed, and Rene had little ability to fix it, change it, or help her understand it. Rene was only 2 years in the industry at that time and could not pinpoint the problem. But in hindsight, there is no doubt in Rene's mind that if she had coached Richard to put himself and his reputation on the line with this business, he and Susan would be 2 of the top earners in the industry today. They had phenomenal potential. They would have been great working side by side. This fear of lost credibility holds back countless new distributors in our industry. As leaders, we must not be afraid. Once we are absolutely convinced of their potential, we need to encourage men and women to take a stand and go for it all the way. We don't mean to undermine the very real fear that exists in starting a new venture. It is a legitimate one. Why burn the bridge that currently supports you before you know whether the new bridge you're building will hold up through storms and outer pressures? The solution is in what we call balanced risk-taking. If you don't let prospects know how completely and totally convinced you are about this industry and your company, you will fail. That is for sure. On the other hand, if you flaunt your new business around the office, you could lose your job and your source of income before you have replaced it. Somewhere in between is the answer. Unless you have sizable savings, you may have to postpone sponsoring your boss if he is someone who would be truly threatened by your outside business involvement. You may even have to put off sponsoring everyone in your immediate environment. But there are plenty of other current clients, former clients, and sideline associates who would be interested, and/or know other people who might be interested, to hear about a business opportunity that creates personal freedom and financial security. With these people, don't hold back. Prospects need to know that you are a believer. Let them know in no uncertain terms the depth and breadth of your conviction about the power of this type of business to transform your life and theirs. Encourage husbands like Richard to state at each meeting their ultimate intention to do this business full-time, and soon. Steve Sledge of Dallas, Texas, is someone who took the risk of losing his professional credibility. He and his wife Carolyn joined this business about the same time as Susan and Richard, but they worked it as a couple, putting everything on the line. In Steve's own words, "I showed one of my former real estate colleagues the power of network marketing, the huge expanding markets in which we were positioned, the honesty of my company, and the potential of the compensation plan, and he wasn't interested. He asked how I could bring myself to do something so unprofessional. I was 1,000% convinced that I had hold of the financial opportunity of the century, and answered him this way. 'Bill,' I said, 'if I'm wrong, I'll fail, and you can tell everyone that Steve failed in that silly pyramid deal. On the other hand, if I'm right, I'm rich. What story will you tell them then?' The operative words were 1,000% convinced. Steve was, and Richard wasn't. But even if Richard had been convinced, he was unwilling to share that fact with his associates, and therein lies the difference. Today, Steve and Carolyn enjoy being at the top of their compensation plan with many successful leaders in their organization. It's now a global organization spanning a dozen countries, but it began as a simple conviction in their hearts that was unchangeable, and succeeded because both were willing to say so. They made it to the top by their shared willingness to do whatever it took to make their business work. During the early days, even though they were long on commitment, they were short on finances. To make ends meet, Steve actually threw a newspaper route in an exclusive subdivision near their home early each morning to earn extra money. He claimed he was so excited about his business that he couldn't sleep anyway. As Steve recalls the story, "I laugh when I remember the look on people's faces when, because sometimes I was a little late, they were waiting in their front yards as I flew by in my gold Mercedes, and they suddenly saw a newspaper come flying out through the sunroof. Little did they know that their paper boy would, within only a few years, build a worldwide business from his home that would earn him in excess of $1 million. Fourth warhead: embarrassment from prior failure in MLM. Another more common reason people will use to justify not approaching warm market leads is embarrassment. They are mortified because they've already been in 3 MLM deals, and they can't stand the thought of approaching their family and close friends a 4th time. It's actually a legitimate concern. It's human nature, but it's not sufficient justification. Because some people have been involved in several companies, they now have one of the best approaches possible. Here's the basic dialogue we teach our new distributors who are concerned about this problem. After a bit of small talk, they then share this information with warm market prospects. "You and your wife know that I've been researching the field of MLM quite carefully. In fact, in an effort to become extremely knowledgeable, over the last few years I have enrolled in several different companies in order to learn from the different experts. Well, I'm happy to tell you that all the analysis finally paid off. I've been able to master enough about the industry to pick the global organization that allows people to earn $30,000 to $50,000 a month in the shortest amount of time. I've spent a lot of time, money, and energy doing my homework, and now I'm so excited I seem to be losing sleep every night. I need to see you as soon as possible to find out if you would be interested in earning this kind of money. Instead of portraying your past involvement or your new distributor's past involvement as a liability, turn it into an asset. Wouldn't you much rather purchase life insurance or an automobile or actually anything from someone who has had the broad experience of representing more than one company? If this is your situation, then be sure to use this strategy to approach the people in your warm market. Fifth warhead, qualifying the leads. There is a critical difference between traditional business and MLM. Traditional sales and marketing reps are taught to always qualify their prospects. For example, a Xerox rep wouldn't attempt to sell a $3.5 million laser printer to a company that didn't need it or couldn't afford it. To qualify a prospect is to determine, before an attempted sale, if indeed that prospect both needs and can afford your product or service. But we call MLM the great equalizer because anyone can achieve staggering levels of success. To decide in advance that one person is too important to be approached about your business or another is too inadequate to succeed can literally be economic suicide. Do not, under any circumstance, attempt to determine in advance who is qualified and who is not, who may be interested and who will not be, who is approachable and who is not. Consider one of the most successful distributor teams, Tom and Terry Hill. Terry left the corporate world as the #1 Xerox salesperson in all of North America. She was an expert at qualifying her leads. Tom was a stockbroker for Merrill Lynch. During their first year in network marketing, they had to break a lot of old habits by not qualifying their leads. What finally drove it home for them was when, early in their networking career, they held an opportunity meeting in their home. During the showing of the video, both Tom and Terry left the room, a no-no in the business. When the video was over, one gentleman came down to their office and said, "Thank you, but the business is not for me. I appreciate your time." As he turned to leave, he put his head back in the office and whispered, "By the way, the other guy is asleep." Tom went in and turned the video off, and the man woke up. As Tom thanked him for coming and started to hand him some information, the prospect stood up and said with the utmost enthusiasm, "This sounds incredible. I'm in." When the timing is right in someone's life, it is right, no matter how wrong everything seems. Even an unconscious man can evidently become excited. Today, this distributor has hundreds of distributors under him in both the United States and Australia. He is one of the strong legs in the organization built by Tom and Terry, who have now sold their MLM business and moved their family to a small town in Tennessee. After all those years in the corporate world, they both feel extremely fortunate to have left the stress behind. Now they both have the time and money to live the laid-back life they have always wanted. Another one of our frontline distributors was a college student, earning $800 a month as a student teacher. His brother David was a detective investigating hit-and-run accidents in Houston, Texas. We are, of course, referring to Dennis and David Clifton, two of the real legends in the network marketing industry. They joined the business along with Dennis's father-in-law, scholar and theologian Dr. Roy Blizzard, Jr. All three men and their wives have become multi-millionaires and respected industry leaders. The brothers often tell the story that when they came into the business, no one rolled out the red carpet. The company president didn't call and welcome them into the company anticipating that they were a couple of big hitters. They were just a graduate student and a cop. They were scared, and their wives were petrified. David's wife, Jackie, was fully aware that her husband only had to put in 13 more years in order to have full vesting in a $17,000 a year pension program. What intelligent wife like Jackie wants to walk away from that kind of security? Everyone starts out in network marketing as a little hitter. Big hitters are team-made and are recognized as such by their results. The proof is in the printout. Dennis and David are quite literally two of the most sought-after speakers in the entire network distribution industry today. Yet before they entered network marketing, neither could have even gotten a job interview with Exxon or Sony because neither had a business education or former experience in management. Today, they manage an international organization of more than 100,000 distributors in 20 countries and account for over half of our MLM income. We could go on listing other distributors who had no previous success prior to MLM, but these stories should make our point. Don't play God. Even if a man or woman has a menial job, don't assume that they are incapable of building a large, dynamic organization. On the other hand, don't assume that because one of your friends is a doctor, MLM would be beneath him or her. Many doctors may be in a state of mind where they detest the practice of medicine and are looking for an alternate way of making the same amount of money. Whatever you do, don't succumb to this warm list warhead. Don't make the mistake of qualifying your leads. Sixth warhead, conflict of interest. Some professionals hold back in building their network marketing business because they are concerned about conflicts of interest. As a minister, Mark was afraid it would be a conflict for him to approach individuals in his congregation. Rene was a county commissioner and afraid to approach her constituents. Since this was a large part of our world, it put a serious restriction on prospecting our warm markets. So we understand that this is a legitimate concern. It can even be a question of ethics. Whatever you do not want to jeopardize your present career. You want to decide when you are leaving your profession. You don't want it decided for you. We have two suggestions that may help. First, when you are on the job, never mention the name of your particular network marketing company, but prospect through lifestyling. That is, approach people through the normal course of your life. Clients, customers, store clerks, people at the health club, the bank, the grocery store. Complimenting them about the personality trait that drew you to them. Make it genuine. Let them know that with that quality, they could be outstanding in your business and are exactly the kind of people with whom you are looking to partner. Tell them up front that you cannot discuss the matter there. Say, for example, "This isn't the place," or "It's against company policy," but that you would like to find a time that would be good for both of you. Then ask permission to call them. Exchange business cards, and write on the back of theirs the best time to reach them. This is the method Rene used extensively, and it was very effective for her. By handling the situation straightforwardly, few constituents ever complained about her having a conflict. If that method doesn't work for you, you might consider Mark's approach. He never did approach his congregation, but he recruited one couple from the church who did, and they used his name for credibility. Target marketing. You may want to consider prioritizing your warm list by using target marketing, which involves focusing your prospecting efforts on selected groups of people within your inner circle of influence who have a potential interest either in 1. The business opportunity, part-time/replacement income and/or tax deductions, or 2. Your product and its specific benefits to them. The research of Dr. Charles King offers us an example of target marketing. An aerobics instructor at a health center introduced her line of vitamin supplements to members of her aerobics class, all upper-middle income 30 to 50-year-olds. Based on the shared demographics and interests in healthfulness, physical fitness, and exercise, several of the class adopted the products. Within 6 months, the instructor had a customer base of over 60 regular retail buyers. Some of the customers later became distributors in order to buy products at wholesale or develop their own businesses. Based on her formula for target marketing in health clubs, the instructor continued meeting with aerobics instructors from other area health centers. She introduced the concept, sponsored the individuals into her downline group, and train them to develop their organizations by duplicating this process. Of course, if your goal is to build a huge international business, the key to success in target marketing is to focus on several groups with whom you have rapport, and not put all of your energy into just one. When to use three-way calling. Let's assume that you are convinced of the importance of calling the people on your warm list. So what happens next? How does this team approach work? Three-way calling can be a valuable tool as long as it is used at the appropriate time. Most prospects will hate the idea of three-way calls prior to a personal presentation. If they know they're going to have to suffer the indignity of making their first call to their family and closest friends with their sponsor, even if they are very close friends, they literally refuse to go any further than purchasing their starter kits. That's why, in our collective 20 years, we've always avoided three-way calling as a first contact with a prospect. The new distributor is actually right to want to avoid this strategy. Think about it intelligently. Does a professional or corporate executive really need to gang up on his friends? That's precisely how it appears to the prospect. If a distributor can't even pick up his own telephone and get his family and friends to a meeting, or review an audiovisual presentation in the privacy of their own homes, that person probably does not have what it takes to succeed in network marketing. Period. End of story. Once trained, your new distributors should always be allowed the courtesy of talking to their closest friends and family without the presence of some hyped-up sponsor trying to overcome objections and prove how brilliant she is to her new distributor. Three-way calling at this stage is a very unnatural way of networking. Besides, when the business is presented properly in the initial approach, there should be no serious objections to overcome. If there are a lot, that person is not a prospect anyway. Call him or her again in 6 months. Don't badger them with your upline on the other extension. The only way this could be helpful is if your sponsor is listening silently on the line during your first few calls in order to offer some constructive criticism afterward. The best time for three-way calls is after a prospect has seen the presentation. It is most effective after someone has been exposed to the concepts of network marketing, likes what he or she has heard, but still has some reservations. This is the best time to bring an upline associate into the mix. Here's a sample script of what you might say to a serious prospect. You're asking some really good questions, and as I told you, I'm new to all this. But my business associate has been at this longer than I. Let me see if I can get him on the phone with us right now. You simply press your conference button on your telephone, dial your sponsor or upline, and press the button again. And bingo, you have an instant three-way call. Or if you prefer, give out the private number of your upline to your prospect and let him or her call when it is convenient. Serious prospects will make that call. There are advantages to each of these strategies. The three-way conference call allows your new associate to learn by hearing how a prospect is closed. It also reinforces your new associate's belief in the business. This is sometimes quite helpful to a new network marketer. The two-way direct call from prospect to upline offers more flexible scheduling and sorts out a serious prospect from a lukewarm one. Just taking the initiative to call shows a certain eagerness for the business. Mark prefers the direct call. Rene is more comfortable with the three-way call. Just be sure to use them appropriately. That is, never until after a full presentation has been made to the prospect or your audiovisual business briefing has been reviewed. Using a follow-up card file. Now we'll share the most important tools for building and maintaining a warm list. Pay attention to this advice, follow it without deviation, and you'll likely end up among the big money earners. In a very short time, this method will enable you to have more prospects than you have time to call. Purchase a 12-inch long card file cabinet. In addition, purchase 12 dividers, 1 for each month, and 31 numbered dividers for each day of every month. Index card dividers can be purchased already labeled and numbered. Then purchase several hundred index cards and write the name of one warm market prospect at the top of each card. Next to each name, write his or her telephone number. Beneath the name on the left-hand side of the card, write the heading words Date Last Contacted. On the right-hand side, write Actions and Results. Every time you obtain any person's name and telephone number, especially new people you've just met or prospected, create a new card. Of course, for computer buffs, there are software programs for organizing and following up on leads. What matters is that you have a system for keeping track of your prospects. Now for the critical system. From that point forward, you are going to call every single person on your prospect cards every 6 months until they either sign up or die. Never, ever are you to throw away leads until they become distributors or you attend their funerals. As you speak with your prospects and they tell you all the reasons why this isn't a good time to get together, politely ask them if you can contact them at a later date. They'll almost always say yes. Move the index card to that month in your follow-up file. The day-by-day dividers are, of course, used in the current month. Some people will need a follow-up in 2 days. Or, if you fail to reach some people, you should put their cards in the next day's file. The average full-time worker in any field in America, Europe, and Asia will change jobs every 3.7 years. Try to contact prospects every 6 months. No matter how adamantly they rejected you previously, eventually you are going to catch them during a period of job transition. If presented properly to people during those inevitable transitions, network marketing will be next to impossible to turn down. Remember what we've stressed before. Network marketing is all about timing. If prospects are in the right time in their lives for change, it doesn't matter how poorly MLM is explained. They'll probably decide to give it a shot. Conversely, prospects who are not in the proper time of life probably won't be receptive, no matter how articulately or professionally the business is presented. Steve Sledge says he had fun using the follow-up system. Sometimes after I explained the power of network marketing to some of my former business associates and showed them the 5x5x5 illustration of logarithmic growth, they smiled. Some even laughed and said, "Hey, Steve, give us a call when you get rich." So I did, every last one of them. Starting with warm market prospecting. So now you know some of the excuses people will throw at you in an effort to put off prospecting their warm lists. But why is it so important that sponsors encourage them to do it? Warm market prospecting is much easier than the cold, cruel world of trying to persuade people you've never met to quit their jobs and join you in MLM. Cold market prospecting requires professionalism, enthusiasm, competence, and moxie. You are trying to convince veritable strangers that they should abandon their weekly paychecks and comfort zone jobs or professions to follow you into an entrepreneurial pyramid. At least, that's how prospects view it. This is where the numbers play an important role. You will talk to a greater number of people in cold marketing than in warm in order to generate the same favorable responses. In those circumstances, you better be confident, self-assured, and proficient at responding to their primary objections brought up at recruiting meetings. Cold market prospecting is aptly named. It's cold. Because your warm market is comprised of folks you know, it is much more understanding and forgiving than our total strangers. There's an old saying in our industry, every great multi-level marketer was a lousy multi-level marketer first. No one starts out poised and self-assured. So it just makes good sense to approach your strongest relationships, those with your family and friends, first. And you're not alone. Your sponsor should do your first 2 or 3 presentations for you when you're home with your friends, or support you by phone if long distance. We'll discuss that later in this chapter. But now let's examine the proper way to approach warm market leads. Success results more from attitude than ability. Because attitude rather than ability leads to real success in network marketing, Your biggest asset is enthusiasm. But we're not talking about some fake excitement that is a learned behavior or following some script written by your upline associate. We're talking about natural enthusiasm, that is, your excitement after realizing you could be only months away from earning $20,000 a month. Again, we remind you that if you aren't truly excited about this business opportunity, read or listen to anything that will build up your enthusiasm. It is essential to effective prospecting. Whatever strategy works to motivate you and get you in a positive frame of mind prior to calling warm market prospects, employ it. The deeper your belief level, the greater your chance of success. It also helps to realize that you are first and foremost an educator. You're not a salesperson, nor are you a professional recruiter. Your job is to teach as many people as possible that there's a better way to live and to earn residual income. The only way you're ever going to convince people to change careers and to join you in MLM is if you can get them to agree to sit down with you for 45 minutes to take an objective look at your business. When you call your warm market leads, your only objective is to get them to seriously consider your company. Probably nobody in the history of the network distribution industry has been so persuasive as to be able to convince prospects over the telephone in their very first call to change jobs and join their company. Nor do we know distributors who can consistently sell products or services over the telephone. So don't try. Network marketing is a business of education. You may want to begin by having your prospects review an audiovisual package, but eventually you need to interact face-to-face. It is about teaching people how to teach others to build an organization of people who use and share products and/or services. And keep in mind, the more information you give to prospects over the telephone, the less likely they will be willing to listen to an audio or attend a business presentation. Try to raise their curiosity over the phone rather than satisfy it. Do not give information out during your first call or answer a lot of questions. Share your enthusiasm and set a time and place for the meeting to which you are inviting them. Make sure you are talking from your heart, inviting those with whom you truly wish to associate. MLM is an ingenious industry in that its leaders and founders learned long ago that people usually make decisions based on certain emotions. A desire for more money is one of the reasons you can count on to motivate prospects to attend meetings. Later in this book, we will also show you how fear of loss is what motivates many folks into creating wealth. No product or service, except perhaps a lure to a better career, is exciting enough to cause people to want to change professions. But the possibility of having total control of their time and a monthly income of $20,000 to $30,000, maybe even $50,000, gets the attention of most people, even the most cynical. So here's another approach to friends and family. Begin with small talk, but purposefully cut that off as soon as possible, and in an extremely enthusiastic manner, nearly out of breath with excitement, say something like the following. I've got to tell you the real motive for my call. In fact, I can't hold it back any longer. My wife and I are so excited about what we've blundered into, and we want to share it with you because, frankly, we can't think of anyone else we'd rather spend the rest of our lives in partnership with than the two of you. Listen, I'm going to ask the same question of you that was asked of me a couple of weeks ago. If you were absolutely convinced after a full due diligence that it was possible for you to earn legally and ethically up to $20,000, $30,000, or even $50,000 a month, and kick back and relax in a few years, still earning that much without a major investment, would that be a business that would interest you? If you take some time to study this approach, you'll notice that there is absolutely no reason for objections to surface. You have asked the prospect a question in which all the possible objections have been skillfully addressed. First, you encourage him to research the opportunity. It's moral, it's ethical, and there is minimal startup cost. The potential earnings are substantial, they are residual, and even more important to people in this global economy, success will allow him considerable free time. If, after hearing this question, your friend argues at all, regardless of the objection, you'll know that he or she is not a prospect today. Don't badger your reluctant prospects. Be sure to end the conversation on a positive note, asking permission to check back with them in a few months. Simply write on the prospect's card, "Wasn't interested," and place it in the folder to remind you to call again in exactly 6 months' time. Remember, this is a business of timing, finding people who are ready for change. No need to sell people on network marketing. One of the biggest mistakes most new distributors make is arguing and attempting to sell people on the business at the wrong time. Think about it a moment. Where's the objection to the question we've posed? There is none. So what does it accomplish for a new distributor to stay on the phone with his friend, trying to overcome every objection and pestering him to death? Or worse, what if an upline associate is on the call also badgering the prospect? Even after 6 months, that friend will not be open and receptive, even if the time is right. Alex Marr of San Francisco, California, learned this lesson the hard way. When I first decided to pursue a network marketing business, I was in my last year of law school. When I told my friends and fellow law students of my decision, I was completely unprepared for the onslaught of well-meaning but tremendously negative advice I received. Most friends laughed, some openly showed their disgust for the industry, and a few went so far as to print up brochures with my name on them that said things like snake oil and fraud for sale. None of them, however, would look at the facts about my company and the opportunity associated with it, even though those friends were both intelligent and about to embark on a career in law, where looking at facts before making judgments is one's entire profession. I was discouraged initially, but I knew I had a great opportunity. I set out to assemble mountains of evidence proving that network marketing in general, and my company in particular, was legitimate. That's what law school had trained me to do. After a year of assembling books, articles, newspaper clippings, along with audio tapes and videotapes, I approached some of my friends again. I was much more confident because I had the facts on hand to back me up. But nearly all my friends still refused to come to a presentation, even after having seen the facts and figures I put together. I was completely blown away. How could they refuse to join my company when all of my statistics clearly showed that it was in their interest to do so? The lesson I learned sunk in over the next few weeks. I can convince a person intellectually that joining my network marketing company is a great decision, but if that person does not believe he can succeed in my business, or if he does not believe in himself and his own abilities to learn and grow, all my facts and statistics are useless. He will not join my company, and even if he does, he won't do anything after he has joined. I wasted a year assembling information to convince people who were just not interested, when I could have been out making presentations to people who had expressed real interest. Mark Yarnell summed up this lesson well. A person convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. Now, I don't waste time showing facts to anyone until I have sifted for interest first. I could have shaved a year off my learning curve if I would have followed that advice earlier. Patrick Schumacher of Payson, Arizona, had a similar learning curve in this business. He read in Success magazine that the next time you are with a friend, ask him if he has ever wanted to start his own business. What if I could show you a business that you could start for about $500 with the potential to pay you what a CEO of a Fortune 500 company makes? And the company with whom you partner would take care of all R&D, packaging, payroll, opening of foreign markets, and legal matters. Would you like to know about this business? I emailed that same message to a friend who works for a high-tech company because he complained to me that the company he worked for had just cut his commissions. He responded that he was not interested. Rob didn't even ask me what the business was about. No interest, nothing. I couldn't believe it. Then, 2 weeks later, my sister-in-law visited me and used the products that we have in the shower. She loved them and wanted to know how she could get some. Once I sponsored her, she spent around $1,000 on products and was unable to stop talking about how excited she was. Within 2 months, she told me she was quitting because she didn't have time. She manages her husband's plastic surgery practice, so I asked her if she thought that people who spend thousands of dollars on plastic surgery would want to use these products to maintain a youthful appearance. No answer. I thought maybe it was something I did, until I remembered the SW rule. Some will, some won't, so what? Because someone else is always waiting. Once I understand the 4-letter word next, I begin to always move forward and never look back. Patrick's approach is a solid one, and now so is his attitude. Network marketing inevitably requires you to talk to many people within your circle of influence. By reaching out to enough people, you will eventually find those for whom the time is right. And that is when the personal relationships begin, what we call relationship marketing. No need to pressure friends into the business. Another mistake made by a new distributor is to pressure 20 friends to get into the business. And they do, oftentimes merely to shut the recruiter up. Then the new distributor spends the next 6 months trying to drag those people across the finish line. For many, many well-meaning people, network distribution is the process of selling people on our industry, then doing everything possible to make those people successful. Unfortunately, that's literally the antithesis, the exact opposite of what our business is all about. Our job is not to do it all for them. It is to teach them how to do it for themselves. We are educators. We teach people a new way to buy and sell products and services and a new way to make a living. The more people we educate, by getting them to review an audiovisual package and then sit down in our homes and hear the whole story, the more money we all earn. And the more people we approach with extreme enthusiasm about partnering in a business that will generate big money and free time, the more people we get to our homes in the first place. So make absolutely certain that you leave no one off your warm market list. And when you begin calling them, on your own, remember, no 3-way gang-up calls. Make certain that you are in an enthusiastic frame of mind. Share your desire to be involved in business with them, and focus your prospecting question around big money, free time, and a lifetime partnership. The philosopher Maurice Nicole, a student of Russian-born spiritual teacher Georgy Gurdjieff, used to say, "Old people are asleep, and in order to awaken them from their stupor long enough to introduce them to a new idea or way of doing things, you must give them some sort of conscious shock." We agree. What we've come to recognize is that unless you use high income numbers, most people will remain asleep. The promise of $20,000, $30,000, even $50,000 a month, income levels actually achieved by the top earners, is usually enough of a conscious shock to awaken most folks to your presentation. Then, if the time is right, and if they've been thinking about changing careers or fearing being laid off, they might respond affirmatively, listen to an audio presentation, and actually come to a meeting. That's one of the keys to effective network marketing. Many people have the leadership potential to do this business, but may not reveal it to you unless the timing is right. Making unexpected friends through warm market prospecting. Sometimes your warm market list can expand almost to the other end of the spectrum, simply by making your business and products known to those within your circle of influence. Nelja Hudman Alquist, like so many ex-wives, did not get along with her ex-husband's new wife, Joyce Hudman. Both are from small towns just outside of Houston, Texas. Nelja describes the situation. "The tension between us was so strong that at one time, when Joyce was working at a law firm with a mutual friend, she asked the mutual friend to ask me not to come to the office while she was there. After she left that law firm, one of the partners would purchase gift packages of my products for all the secretaries, who loved them so much they told Joyce about them. Once I even asked my ex-husband to buy one for her Valentine's Day gift. He laughed at me and said, 'She wouldn't use anything that you sold,' but he bought it anyway. To my surprise, after using what he bought, She called and asked what other products we had, and asked if she could come over. We did a skincare clinic, and she left as my new distributor. We are now close friends and work together in the business. It has made a wonderful difference for my children. We recently roomed together in Dallas for a regional conference with our company. Everyone looked puzzled when I introduced her as my wife-in-law. To make things even funnier, last week I went to her house to wait for my son. There were 2 other ladies there. One was engaged to the other one's husband and was there to pick up her son. They too had come together through our business. It's amazing the friendships you forge when you work in this business. You make friends with people you never thought possible. Putting the list to its fullest and best use. Don't let any of the warm list warheads strike you. Reach out to everyone on your list, starting with those in your city whom you would enjoy as partners in the business. Contact your top 20 or 30 family members and friends and invite them to take a look at this exciting opportunity. If possible, your sponsor should be there with you for your first 2 or 3 home meetings. It's best to present the opportunity to small groups of 3 to 6 people at a time. Invite twice as many guests as you want to allow for the no-shows, which are an inevitable part of this business. Focus your first 90 days on relationship marketing. That is, reaching out to those closest to you to extend the invitation to create a business partnership intended to enhance the quality of your lives. Over the course of your first year, devote almost all of your time to approaching the remainder of your list, setting appointments, and presenting the opportunity. Notice that we didn't say, take them to someone else's meeting. These are your prospects, your appointments, and your presentations. Using your warm list, keep doing this over and over until you reach your desired goal. Of course, once you have sponsored new associates, train them to duplicate your efforts, to use and share your products and services with a small circle of friends, and then to prospect, set appointments, and assist them in doing their own meetings with those on their warm lists. Like the presentation, do this training in small groups in your home once a week. We suggest Saturday morning. Once your new associates complete their assignments, order products, set their goals in writing, and begin making their warm list, they then qualify for a one-on-one personal training session with you. If you want to stretch your list to its fullest and best use, learn to ask for referrals. When someone on your list says no, that is the time to ask them for the names of 1 or 2 of their colleagues who might be interested in this opportunity. The secret to asking for referrals is to be specific. Whom do you know there at the factory who is already thinking about leaving? Who is the most dynamic person among your friends at work, or the one everyone looks up to? Remember to ask for referrals. If you can learn to replace every no with just 1 new prospect, your warm list will never run out. Summary. A warm list is a group of individuals from your present and past whom you know well enough that were you to pick up the telephone and call them, they would recognize you once they heard your name. The direction of the 21st century is to build on warm market relationships as opposed to the philosophy of throwing mud on the wall and hoping some sticks. The larger you build your warm list, the more solidly you will establish your business. Make sure new distributors are taught how to use triggering devices in order to help them recall at least 2,000 friends and acquaintances. Remember not to yield to the arguments and rationalizations new distributors use in order to avoid approaching their warm markets. If you let your doubts stand in the way of launching your business, you are guaranteed to fail. But if you go forward and persevere, you will succeed. Move past your comfort zone and offer everyone on your warm list this opportunity, especially those you feel are already too successful to consider doing this business. Professionals have a natural tendency to refuse to openly acknowledge their participation in network marketing, but this refusal can negatively impact their business because their doubts and insecurities can be sensed by both prospects and distributors. If you can't let your associates at work know about your involvement in network marketing, be sure during in-home presentations to show that you are proud and enthusiastic about the industry and your company. Your reluctance to approach your warm market because you have been in other MLMs and have already approached the same people in the past can easily be overcome by assuring your friends and family that your research and analysis has finally led you to the right company. Never qualify your prospects. To decide in advance that one person is too important to be approached or another is too inadequate to succeed is economic suicide. If your professional career has a potential conflict of interest that hampers recruiting efforts, you can either 1. Prospect through lifestyling, that is, by approaching people through the normal course of your life, letting them know, without mentioning your business, that you would like to get together with them when it is appropriate. Or 2. Sponsor someone who knows your business associates and can ethically approach those people. You may want to consider prioritizing your list by using target marketing, wherein you share a personal background with certain groups from your warm or lukewarm market. Always allow your new distributors the courtesy of talking to their closest friends and family without the presence of their sponsor on the line. Three-way calling is most effective after the presentation, not before. Or you may prefer to have the prospect make a direct call to your upline associate. Use a card filing system to track your prospects. Call all the people on your prospect cards every 6 months until they either sign up or die. Beginning with the warm market is best because approaching friends and relatives is much easier than approaching strangers. Attitude is more important than ability in network marketing. During your recruiting efforts, think of yourself as an educator more than as a salesperson. Until the presentation, your intent is to stimulate the curiosity of your prospects, not satisfy it. When contacting warm market leads with the possibility of partnering in business, emphasize big money and free time, rather than any specifics about the company or products. When prospects object to an enthusiastic, big money, free time partnership, don't argue with them. Simply file their card and call them again in 6 months. A person convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. Remember the SW rule. Some will, some won't, so what? Because someone else is always waiting. Focus your first 90 days on relationship marketing. That is, reaching out to those closest to you to extend the invitation to create a business partnership intended to enhance the quality of your lives. During your first year, devote almost all of your time to prospecting, setting appointments, and presenting the opportunity until you reach your desired goal, and teach your associates to do the same. When someone on your list says no, that is the time to ask for the names of 1 or 2 colleagues at work who might be interested in your opportunity. If you can learn to replace every no with just one new referral, your warm list will never run out.